Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day from the Moms of Paintball. We hope that all the moms out there, especially the paintball moms, are being spoilt today, got coffee in bed, went to brunch, or to a paintball field. Like us. So happy Mother's Day to all the amazing moms out there that, cheers to you there, that support all sports for their kids, but coming from us, supporting our paintball children. So happy Mother's Day. I think what we're going to talk about today is an AC recap. Atlantic City, lots of interesting twists and turns during that event.
For sure.
Then we'll talk about, I mean, it seems like, oh my gosh, like we already have to start thinking about NXL Cincinnati, which is right around the corner. So yeah, let's dive into Atlantic City. What did you think?
So, Atlantic City, we got there Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday evening.
Yep.
I think we got to town right as the sun was setting, so everything was pretty much closed. I didn't realize this is kind of the off season in Atlantic City, so I think a lot of the restaurants and shopping and that sort of stuff closed down around 6 or 7 p.m.
Yeah,
So,
or didn't open at all.
Exactly, or they weren't even open.
Yeah.
So we had brought a coach with us from the airport to drop off at his hotel. I think he was at one of the casino areas. And so we dropped him off, and I was like, this is kind of sketchy. Okay. And then we just kind of wound our way through the streets of Atlantic City, and there are a lot of stoplights there.
There are.
It was
a
like
lot,
you go one little block stop.
Yep.
Like, it's like playing Frogger, kind of. Like you're just kind of barely moving.
Yeah.
So, but then as we got closer to our AirBnB, I was like, okay, this is not so sketchy. This is okay, but I did. Crystal messaged me and was like, "How's it going?"
And she was like, "You didn't tell me it was like this." I was like, "Y'all told me to be nice."
We had been given some.
I was expecting like Vegas, but smaller scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, Vegas isn't exactly shiny, sparkly, clean.
Oh,
so I was expecting like grunge, but this was kind of more like where Vegas goes to die.
Yeah.
Like the casinos were empty. Like we were going to go to a restaurant at Bally's the first night, and it's not even open. It's completely closed. The casino was pretty much empty.
Yeah.
I just expected more life, more something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We didn't even hit that part when we went to AC last year. I didn't even try to venture down there.
So I mean, there were some moms that had said, some.
And in the morning it was better.
Yes.
In the daytime I was like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah. Well, this was one of the first times that we tried an Airbnb with part of the team, and we're like, well, let's test it out. See, I think the biggest concern that parents have is the kids are never going to sleep, and certainly the Thursday night they
were excited.
My son and I. And another kiddo that always travels with us, we didn't show up till 1 a.m. because there were some delays out of Chicago, and 2 of the kiddos that were already there decided they were going to stay up and wait for us. And I'm like, my goodness, we're not going to be there till like 1:30. And it was like 1:30, got unloaded, 2 o'clock, and the kids are like bouncing off the walls. And so part of me is like, well, they're going to get their wiggles out. They're going to be super tired tomorrow. And so,
it was fine.
It was fine.
Well, and it was, y'all still had Friday to kind of like get some rest in and then play on Saturday.
But what's nice about it is it just keeps the team together and keeps that bond growing together, which, for our the team that our kids are on, that is a real priority to keep them growing as a team together. And so, you stay in an Airbnb together. And
you text them at 2 a.m.
2
and
a.m.
say,
go to sleep.
They say, yes, sir, we're trying.
Yeah.
Look, don't feel bad. I got a phone call from one of mine complaining that the other one was not going to sleep and would not turn off the TV because they were watching the hockey playoffs.
Stanley Cup playoffs.
And they want you to fix this for
And they wanted me, like, tell him to turn the TV off. We're trying to sleep. And I'm like, don't you have an adult next? Like, come on.
Hundreds of miles away. I can't.
No.
Oh, I did. I just did turn off the TV, and he turned off the TV.
Yeah.
And they went to bed.
So that part was nice, and I think it's going forward. We're definitely if we talk about Cincinnati, we've been scrambling trying to find an Airbnb that would accommodate and we just
large
haven't.
group
So,
just hasn't, yeah.
and so we're learning from location to location what works and what isn't working, and we're.
Well, and I
figuring it
thought the
out.
Airbnb was nice because there are some parents that naturally I don't spend as much time with.
Yeah.
And so just kind of getting to know someone on a more of a personal level
Yeah.
instead of just seeing them
Away from
out
the
here
field.
in the
Yeah.
football field.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that was great.
Yeah.
That was super fun.
So for Cincinnati, if we can't get an Airbnb and we all stay in a hotel, would y'all think about letting like the boys
Oh, I know
stay
where
in
you're going
one
with this.
room together? Kind of
Keep going.
and see how that goes. I'm just being devil's advocate.
I would
like,
No, it's a
Hey.
good question.
and like like when like other sports teams like they like when they travel or whatever, and
Yeah,
then
like
they
high
tape
school
the door,
age, they take them and they do their own thing.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not
So-
uncommon.
or maybe even have like the sharing
dining
room.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
would y'all
I'm
do
not
that?
going to Cincinnati, so that's a question for Sergeant Rob.
we'll confer with.
Well, and I have a
Rob
girl,
after.
so she's
Yeah,
not
she's
sharing
not
no,
sharing.
no room with no boy.
I don't know. Part of me is like, I think as we continue to move along and try to keep the team together, maybe they can graduate to that.
To that.
Yeah.
level.
Because I saw that with the Airbnb, and I'm like, y'all are gross. That's why I told Kelly, I was like, come use our shower. Like, you don't
You were
have to
using the
share with the
kids?
boys.
Using the
When we
kids'
first got there, I didn't want to. Yeah, so I was using the boys' bathroom. So I'm sharing a bathroom with 4 of the boys, and yeah, it was gross. I mean,
Like, I did go in there at one point and like took all the towels out. I was like, okay, we're gonna wash a load of towels. I don't even know who's. I don't know if they were sharing them.
I
if
don't
they know who they
know.
belong
No.
to.
Yeah.
They were like stretched. There was like a trail
yeah.
from the bathroom hallway.
Well, and
to
I
the
think
bedroom.
that happened because my son had a shower, decided he wanted to shower the late night when we got there, and he didn't put a bath mat down or anything. And I remember one of the other kiddos going, Nicholas, you just turned this into a slip and slide.
I'm surprised they weren't trying to run and
I
do like
know.
that
dives
might
and
be the
stuff.
thud we
And
heard.
that
at 2 in
could
the
have been.
morning.
That could have been. So there's pros and cons, but I think
Yeah.
overall, it was.
I think as they get older, though, that might be
Yeah.
a nice compromise. Like, give them
Yeah.
a little bit of space in a hotel where we're still there, but they feel
Mhm.
like they have some,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
some independence.
So what did you think of? Well, you've been there before. Like, where they actually host, or where they hold the event at Atlantic City? It's like an airstrip, or what is it? An old?
It's an old
an old
airport.
airfield.
Old
Yeah, it's an
airfield,
old
yeah.
airport.
Yeah.
I liked it. There's a lot of pavement, so and
I was
we did get
thankful
rain.
for that concrete on Sunday
Yeah.
when it was pouring down
Yeah.
rain. Yes.
Yeah, that
And
was
it's
true.
nice that they have like all the vendors
Yeah.
right on the strip.
Yes.
Like, so
And it
it's
was
just-
wide. It was a
Yes.
wide strip,
Mhm.
so
Yes.
it didn't feel like you were right on top of people. There
Right.
was like room to breathe and move and drag equipment.
Yeah.
Did you notice that people had tents? Teams had their
Yes,
own tents.
yes, because
did you
we-
notice that? Did
I
you see
didn't.
that
Well,
in the
because y'all
pictures?
went and hid underneath that
Yeah,
one
we had
team.
to go, yeah, we
tent.
made friends with
From Florida.
goodness.
So
Bless
like
their
that's why I say I think it
But I
depends
just wish
on.
I wish they would have like
the
put
venue.
that on the website.
Yeah.
Like, hey, at this
Communicated
event,
that.
you can bring your own tent,
Yeah.
I mean, we have our own tent.
but not over there where we could actually use it.
I mean, that it can be put over there.
It could. Yeah.
It could have been put over there.
It seems
It
like
could have.
But
Maybe
I think,
weren't
I
prepared
think,
to do
yeah, I think after
Yeah.
was it Cup when they were like, no, you can't have tents or in this area. It was like
Tampa-
all weird,
we
and then
weren't allowed to
Tampa
have
was the
any-
same thing too. So then I
Yeah.
think by that point everybody's like, okay, we'll just put it up over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would have been good to know. But other than that, I really liked the location.
Yeah. Yeah. Location was good.
It was a smaller turnout, smaller crowd size,
Mhm.
which was also kind of nice.
So one thing that we, as parents of a youth team, we, as much as we want to believe that our kids are organized and got their
I know mine's
story together, we it was rough. We had a rough Saturday morning.
Yes.
We started with an injured child,
Yep.
and then a kiddo who had forgotten to register, didn't have his ID. We
So-
lost him.
And then we lost it.
So when you mean register, so for NXLs you have to check in every event.
Right.
Yes.
So every
Yes.
event, and then for youth, you cannot check in online. Like a lot of, like over 18, can go online way before the event, check in, and do all that. But with youth, they have to have a parent or an adult to sign them in, and then do that. So you have to do it before
Yeah.
the event.
And-
So we had 8:30 games.
Fun.
Our game started at what, 8:20 something,
8:30,
8:30,
yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
And it was about 8 o'clock when
Yeah.
this kid says, "Hey, by the way, I never checked in yesterday, and I don't have my ID here."
Yeah.
Thankfully, our Airbnb was only like 10
Thank
minutes
God,
away.
Yes.
Unless you
yeah.
hit every light.
Yeah, and I was the designated parent that went to go get it, and I feel like I hit every light, but I think it's because I was so stressed. I'm
nervous,
like,
like,
I
just
gotta
get
get
it
there,
and
I
go.
gotta get there, and I won't lie, I may have run a yellow light, but
Oh,
It was yellow.
it was yellow.
I
Yeah.
find yellows all the time.
So we all made a commitment. Note to team parents: every child must be checked in the day
The day
before.
before.
Like
Mhm.
that
We're
has
not
to be
doing
on
that
our
again.
Yeah.
Because that's what usually,
Mhm.
like, because they're up there the
I
day
think
before.
everybody else did.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
they're up there the day before. But then also he didn't have a parent, so that kind of gets a
Yeah.
little.
He kind of got lost.
He was there, but
They
didn't-
were all together. The kids were together
And I
and
think
walking
they
around
just-
together.
they
And I
get
think it just fell
distracted
through the
and-
cracks.
Yeah,
and-
and it
Yeah.
just didn't get. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, the kids were concerned because now we took 6 kids. One is injured, so we're down to 5. We're
And
playing
we're-
5, and then we lost 1, so we're down to 4. And
Like,
you
oh,
know, the
no.
kids were getting all spun up, and I love the way Chuck, the coach for this event, was like, "Hey, it's fine. You're just gonna play 4. You're gonna
Yeah.
go out like you've got a man down.
Yeah.
We're gonna find him. It's not
Yeah.
like he disappeared completely.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we
he's
will
here
find him.
somewhere.
Yeah.
He'll be back for the next point." And it ended up to where he was able to play. Like
Yeah.
we found him actually in the parking lot,
In the
waiting
parking lot,
for
waiting
his
for
ID.
me. Yeah.
But
yeah.
so he played the point, and they were fine. But
Yeah.
it was just kind of a lot of energy,
Mhm.
and then it started pouring down rain.
Yep.
And now we're like, where are
Yeah.
we about to take these kids?
Yeah.
And so we found some friends from our new friends,
Yeah.
the D5
They
team,
adopted us at D5. They were from Florida,
Florida.
and they're like
D4 team.
Yeah, D4.
From-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were super nice. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, we drove this tent up here. Come hang out with us. So we're like, hey, here's some water. Here's some
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us. And then I kid you not, that tent flew up in the air. Like we looked over and we're like, whoa, the tent just flew up.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like a reoccurring theme because in Chicago we
Flying
had the
Which
Dust
is probably why
Devil.
they're not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
We had
yeah.
the Dust Devil in Chicago, which was really crazy because there was people like hit with tents
Yeah,
and
that was
like
bad. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Which then like all the other fields weren't even affected by it.
Right.
People are like, "What do you mean there was like a tornado?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our Momz of Paintball. So maybe
Yeah.
we shouldn't have tents.
Well, and then after that, it was fine though. Like
Yeah.
the wind kind of picked up, and I remember we were saying like, "Oh, this breeze feels so good," and then we got home and realized, "Oh, we are now covered in dirt."
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
we went to eat dinner that night.
Oh my gosh.
Kelly finds the best places. Like if you travel with Kelly, you're gonna eat good and you're gonna sleep good.
Yeah.
She finds good places to go.
Yelp is the way to go.
But we sat down to dinner, and I went to take my hat off,
Oh no.
and I'm like, "Do I have a dirt line?" And Kelly said, "Go to the
Yeah,
bathroom.
yeah, go to the
You need to
bathroom,
go.
go,
You need
yeah,
to go
yeah.
to the bathroom." And
I'm like,
she's
I'd love to
on
say it's
your-
a tan line, but it's not a tan line.
So that the breeze felt good, but there was
It
so
made you
much
real dirty.
dirt.
I
Yeah.
mean, the
We were
dirt was
filthy.
good to clean the paint.
It was.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So speaking of tents flying, if you go to, if anyone's watching our Mom Pods, which is another sort of
Mhm.
in between recording that we do that's on our YouTube channel, there's a great Mom Pod of you got it when the tent
tent
went
Tent
up.
was,
So,
was,
yeah.
was
Yeah,
going.
So for pure entertainment, watch that.
Yeah, it's at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fields. What do you think of the fields?
Oof. They were,
Don't look
they
at
were
me.
rough. I mean, the kids were concerned. There was.
I think
they
my
were rough.
kids. So my son plays the Dorito side, and he said I slid one time, and that was it. Not doing that again.
You just didn't see a lot of sliding on the Friday or the Saturday,
Yeah.
and then when we got the rain on the Sunday, you could see more people actually sliding in because it was wet, and actually I think they preferred that.
I think so too.
But yeah, we were like, ooh.
I mean, I really thought I was going to get a phone call
That someone was hurt.
that one of mine was, well, y'all all know which one was hurt. He gets
Yeah.
hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, he did not get hurt.
Yeah.
No.
Thank
He played
God.
Really well.
But I'm
he
like,
played amazing, yeah.
but I was like, okay, I know the fields aren't that great. He's going to do something. He's going to be diving in, doing something, I don't know, and get
Yeah.
hurt. And so
Yeah.
I think people played more conservatively
For sure, yeah.
based on those field
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
I don't
think
know if
people
he
just-
would have.
You don't. Well, maybe not.
He's a kid. I
Yeah.
don't think he
So
knows
I mean,
that.
you realize how spoiled our kids are. You know, they get to practice on this beautiful turf, and you know, it's So you get there and like, ooh.
Well, and someone had
careful.
made the comment that this event was a little earlier in the year
Right.
for them, so maybe the grass
Grass wasn't in yet.
But I don't know. There was
Yeah.
a lot of bare spots.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was.
So what did you think? Did you hear? Because I heard some backlash about there was no alcohol at this event.
Oh, yeah.
But it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
announced until
Yeah.
like the day before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I heard a lot of people like in the VIP area, it was very calm
Yep.
compared to the VIP and even the bleachers versus Tampa.
In Tampa,
It was
yes.
very subdued.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the announcer guy was like, y'all are going to have to get hyped up. You need to be louder. And they're like, well, we're all sober. So,
Which kind of, yeah.
yeah, there
Yeah.
were some,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you don't drink a lot at the events, do you?
I might have a
Like
beer here and there.
one or two. But
Yeah.
Well, like, there's
but-
nothing wrong with responsibly having a
Sure.
drink.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we discussed some of the fans getting a little overboard at Tampa because they might have had a little
Little
too
more
much.
and going-
in,
So
in
when
the
you go
stand.
that
Yeah.
far, maybe not okay
Yeah.
out in public.
Yeah.
But at AC last year, they did not have alcohol.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
There
It
was
was
none last
no
year
last
either?
year it was the same thing.
Same thing.
Okay.
I think they did have a vendor, one vendor, and then they had kind of like a, I guess like a beer garden you would call it,
Okay.
and
Well,
you
have to have a
couldn't
special
you
license.
couldn't leave that
So you had to drink it right over
area.
there.
Like
Yeah.
you had to like drink it right in front of their like
Okay.
little area.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly,
Mm-hmm.
that was AC. But so to me, I wasn't surprised
Yeah.
that they weren't allowing alcohol
Yeah.
because I know last year it was like everybody's like, oh well, we can have alcohol, but what do you mean? Like why?
Yeah.
Like
Well, like even at the restaurant we ate at.
Yeah, it was a bring.
They didn't
bring your
even
own
sell
booze.
it.
Yeah,
It's like-
BYBO and.
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Yeah. They said there's a liquor store around the block if you want to go grab
I was like, no, I'm
something.
good.
We were like, no, we're good.
No, I'm good.
so, I wonder if it has to do with the liquor license and maybe like
I
the
think it-
gambling with the casino because I know
think
Vegas
so.
has
I
a
think you're
huge
right.
thing with that too.
Yeah.
I think so.
With
Yeah.
the liquor license and the casinos and
Yeah.
all that.
And for sure, like the vibe in, we weren't in the stands. We were in the VIP, but I think for both, it was definitely different versus Tampa. Definitely, and I think a lot of people will agree that the Tampa grandstand or whatever grandstand there were moments where it was like, oof, this is
A little out
this
of
is a
Little-
little
little
out of
spicy.
control. I
Yeah.
ended up leaving because I'm like, I can't. This is a lot. You know, kind of reminded me of going to a football game or a hockey game or something. But yeah, so you can definitely tell a difference. Good, bad, indifferent. Like it's just different.
Or it could have been the rain.
could have been
nobody
that
wanted-
too.
nobody
but
wanted to
there
sit
were-
in the
There were
Other
you know,
than Chanel and
Chanel
them.
was there.
Chanel was there. Bless her heart. Shout
She's
out to you,
always gonna be
Chanel, if
there.
you're watching this. You
NXL
were
fan of the
amazing.
year.
Oh my gosh, she was
Best
up
fan
there,
ever.
soaking wet, but her cheers kept on going. So yeah, I mean, I think overall it was, it's interesting to compare the events
is.
and the differences. Yeah. So yeah.
We only had 3 teams in our division as
Yeah.
well, which kind of leads us towards, Cincinnati.
Yes.
They've made a change to the youth division.
Right.
So we noticed it's about 6 weeks out, so registration is open, and we went to look at the registration in the different divisions, and there's a youth beginner and a youth advanced.
Right.
So what are your thoughts?
I
on
think
that?
it's good. I like it as long as there's enough teams to fill the spots, you know. But for Cincinnati, it's in the summertime, so I feel like more of the youth are going to be traveling
to go.
and
Yeah.
doing that because it is summer. Nobody's in school. For AC, we had lower numbers for youth because it's the
still
end,
the end of
it's
the
the
school
end,
year.
end of the
It's
school year.
busy.
Everybody's trying
It
to
was
get stuff
expensive,
in.
too, to
yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And it was really expensive.
And it's a lot, and it was, airfare was expensive, and it was just much more expensive. I'm hoping too that I think it's a great move on NXL's part, and I hope that it does encourage more of these, novice type youth teams to feel more comfortable to come out and enjoy what they're doing and not feel like, well, I'm going to go and lose every point kind of thing.
kind
So,
of thing,
yeah.
or we don't want to play or
Yeah, I think it's a really good move on NXL's part. I mean, I agree with you. I think the question is, do we have the scale for it? We'll see, But the fact that they've opened up the opportunity to have these novice teams come in, I think is a
And
really
then-
good idea.
And what's setting the difference between advanced and beginner is really just the ranking of the kids.
Right.
So you have, if they're ranked D4 and below, they'll be in the advanced,
Right.
and then D5 and below will be in the
In
beginners.
the beginner, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I have noticed that there's more right now, more teams signed up for advanced.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
It'll be interesting as well whenever they do NXL here in Texas, because we typically have a pretty good
We're gonna-
turnout for youth
yeah.
events at the regional tournament.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm curious to see how many and what division they'll fall into
Right. Yeah.
if they play.
last year
Yeah.
there was quite a bit.
There were quite a few.
There were
Yeah.
quite a bit of kids last year that
In the
played
youth.
Texas.
Yeah.
So it's in September this year. Last year it was in April.
April
Yep.
this time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested to see.
I mean, there's still the school aspect of it, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's a really good move on NXL's part. And I mean, if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, at least they tried.
Yeah,
You know,
they tried
you
something.
gotta-
And I know, like you were saying, you were talking to one of the TCP parents, and they had said, like, "Oh, we just use youth to
It's practice
practice for their D5."
Right,
Which
right.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of excited. Not gonna lie, for TCP because they're signed up for
for the beginner
the
group.
beginner group,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm really hoping they
I think they
kind
could
of
do really well.
I think
Yeah.
they'll do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run
Yeah.
it.
They're such a fun team to
I love
watch
them.
play.
They are.
They're-
They have great
yeah.
parents, great support system.
Yeah, the
good
kiddos are
kids.
awesome, and yeah.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
excited for them on that.
Yeah.
I really am.
So we are starting to plan Cincinnati a little bit, but next week we have USXBL, which is like, holy cow, that's
Already.
already
Another one.
Yeah, that's why there's
Yeah.
so many teams here practicing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, and truthfully, this week we just took a break the whole week.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I need to breathe a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
and I think the kids.
I think the
just
kids
They
wanted,
needed a
well.
little breather too.
wanted
Yeah.
to breathe. So when they
Yeah.
were like, okay, well, how about just Sunday? I was like,
We can make that work.
Yeah,
Well,
we can celebrate
let's go.
Mother's Day.
We'll
at the
do Mother's
paintball
Day in the field.
So,
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, well, that's actually a good thing to touch on. You know, like after an NXL and even after a USXBL, what do teams typically do? Like, what's the protocol? And I know, like for a lot of the pros, it's pretty much like a week off, and they're recovering, and you know they're doing all their cryotherapy and red light therapy and massage, and you know whatever they need to
Get
heal,
their bodies
get
back.
their bodies healed and get back on track, and you know, a bunch of our kids do that now too, which I think is good, especially mine who was injured and, you know, stuck him in the cryo listening to Nirvana.
Nirvana.
He loved it. But yeah, I mean, we get a week and then boom, they're right back into it again.
And it's interesting that we only have that one little window of time today to get prepped for USXBL, which
Yeah.
is a blind layout. So there's not really that much you can do to
prep,
prep
yeah.
or
Right,
prepare for
yeah,
anyways.
yeah.
I feel like, if anything, NXL was prep
Totally,
for
yeah.
USXBL.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they do next week because they are going to be playing D4,
Yeah.
which is just a mental thing.
For
them,
sure,
you know.
yeah.
A lot of our kids don't like to eat during the day. So when you go out there and run one little point in youth, you can do that.
Yeah.
But when you're playing X-ball matches and
Yeah.
you need
Back
to
to
have
back.
energy to get
Yeah.
through, I think that's going to be the biggest thing mentally for them.
Totally.
Making
Yeah.
it through, just switching that. Okay, now I'm playing a different
Yeah.
type of game.
And there's a lot of D4.
There are a
There's
lot.
I think almost 40.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
last time I looked, I
It's-
think it was like
it's-
38 or 39
Yeah.
or something like that.
And
There's a
obviously,
lot.
we're paying very close attention to our kids' coaches as far as points accumulated and so forth. And so we're, you know, we basically just do whatever they say. Like, yes, they can do a USXBL, but we got to keep track of their points that they made accrue. And,
Well, you
yeah.
just don't want your kids to point out so fast
Yeah.
to where they get to a point where they're way over their head.
Right. Yeah.
Because truthfully, it's really easy to point out a lot
Sure.
in youth.
Sure.
Especially if you play a lot of youth and then you win a lot of it.
Totally,
It's
yeah.
easier to point out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they do that and then they have to skip,
Yeah.
like our kids, you know, skipped D5 and they went to D4.
Yeah.
And to have them move up to D3 or
Which would be-
it
Which
would
is
be a
interesting
huge
because
jump.
there are a lot of kids, a lot of youth that are playing D3, D2.
Yeah.
I mean, we see them at the Team USA tryouts.
Yeah.
You know, the kids
Yeah.
that are making the team aren't playing youth in
Right.
USL
Yeah.
or
Right.
D4. You know, they
Yeah.
are these higher level players.
Mhm.
And I know there are a few teams that are predominantly youth.
Yes.
I don't know, are there any D3, D2 that are completely youth?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Like, I think it would be very difficult for our kids to be playing.
Legacy factor
Like,
Are
that's
they-
what
they're
I'm
is
thinking.
that- is that
They
all?
might
They're
only
the-
have one or two maybe that
Higher
are like
age?
in their 20, like young
Yeah.
20s
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Legacy
And they're a
Factory is the one I was
fabulous
thinking.
team.
They're
Yeah,
a
they're
great
an
team.
I didn't
Yeah.
think about Legacy Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a chance to watch them,
They're
great.
amazing. They are a force.
So I was kind of thinking them, but I don't. It seems like a lot more often you have like a couple of kids sprinkled in with adults. It's
Yes.
not
Right, yeah, yeah,
predominantly youth
Exactly.
focused. So
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of look at our kids and their record and they're like, well, you're sandbagging or why are you playing this?
Right.
But they're not trying to just race through it.
Right.
You know, I go back to what Trenton always says. You have to win
Right.
at every level.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want them playing all this stuff just to play and then they can't continue
Yeah.
the D4
And they
next
want
year.
and they want to keep the kids together.
Exactly.
Right,
Like they
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
want to bring in
outsiders
or
pull
like-
in a ringer to
Yeah, we have
win a
this great guy,
tournament.
let's
Then
bring
what are
him
you
in.
learning?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they want to keep the kids core together. And so when you're pushing them and moving them super fast, you're going to have
makes
some
them
that
vulnerable, yeah.
lose their confidence in them,
Yeah.
and then they just like, I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to play no more.
And
I want it.
honestly, there are different philosophies. This happens, what we're just talking about is our coach's philosophy,
Right.
our organization's philosophy, and we all buy into it. You know, we do believe that it's right for our kids. And so it's not whether one is right and one is
Right.
wrong, it's just it's a philosophy and a process that we trust. You know, so.
And I think it's the kids too. Like depending on the kids, if they have the toolbox and the tools that they need
yeah,
to go and move up super fast,
yeah,
and they can use that and apply it, and
Yeah.
still not get burnt out or
Yeah.
whatever it may be,
yeah,
then that's great.
yeah, yeah.
But
exactly.
then when you're trying to keep like a whole mass of
Right.
kids, you got to go at everybody's
exactly.
level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So USXBL is right around the corner, and
Then Cincinnati is right after that.
Cincinnati's right after that. So it's like,
USXBL's right by my house.
you are
I
so
get
lucky.
to sleep in.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
yeah.
so excited.
So it'll be good. So yeah, that's our recap for Atlantic City.
Okay,
and
so let's take a tally here. Tampa, Atlantic City, which one gets your vote for your best overall experience so far?
Tampa.
I was gonna say she'd probably go with Tampa.
Yeah.
I would say probably Tampa because it was easier to fly in, just everything.
Yeah.
I would say Tampa as
Tampa.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a lot of people had issues with AC, just the field conditions and everything, but
Yeah, and it's tricky to get there. I mean, Atlantic City has an international airport, but it's very few flights.
Yeah.
So you're either
That's why
flying.
Tampa gets my vote. It
Yeah.
was so easy. Everything was
For
within
sure.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to check in again after Cincinnati,
Cincinnati,
and see
yeah.
does Cincinnati outdo Tampa?
I don't think so. I'm
May
gonna
not.
say I kind of just trying
So
to
y'all
fly
are road
in.
tripping.
We are.
to
Oh
Cincinnati.
yeah.
I'm not road tripping, but the kids
Your
are.
crew is.
Yeah, they're road tripping.
We've got a couple of families that are road tripping.
Yes.
Because it's only what, 14 hours?
14 hours, so 2 days. Like if really, if
a
you
nice
break it up,
trip in 2
I know
days.
like Brittany and them are gonna do a full like.
They're doing like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, they're gonna take a whole trip. They're stopping in Tennessee.
They're making a
They're
family
stopping all
vacation
over.
out of it.
Because when she put that, I was like, why are you making so many stops? Like, why are you stopping?
Yeah.
But like to me, I'm like, I've already been all the. Like, why are you stopping there?
Just go.
Yeah.
Like, just get there and let's go.
Yeah.
Like, but they're doing a family vacation, and I know like some of the other people that we talked to, they're gonna drive up to like Niagara Falls afterwards, and like travel the north part of that and all that stuff. So.
And that's the nice thing about these summer tournaments. Like now you've got the time out. The kids are out of school, and so you can take advantage of the time. So yeah,
Some more
yeah,
flexibility
for
there.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I know like Cup, everybody makes that
Oh yeah.
a field trip of
Yeah.
vacation of things.
Yeah, for sure.
You got
For
Disney
sure. So
and-
yeah, Tampa still gets my vote so
I
far.
agree.
So we'll.
I don't know, Texas got my vote.
We haven't had one in Texas yet.
Yeah.
You can't vote for it yet.
Hopefully
That's
we won't
why
be
people
sweating
make fun of
like we were
Texas.
last year.
Feel
Yeah.
like we're the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there by my
We don't even
house.
have to see it. We know. We're the
yeah.
best.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna rain.
That would
Yeah.
be a very Texan thing to do.
Especially since they
September, it could be hurricane season still.
Oh, my
especially since they
goodness.
swapped AC in
Yeah.
Texas because of the Mud Bowl in Texas last year.
And then we still got rain and
and
Yeah.
then what was funny, AC got rain.
Yeah, got a lot
this
of
time.
rain.
And I had to remind you, did you bring your rain boots?
I did.
she did. Yes, she did bring her rain boots.
Yes, one of the other dads that was with us, he brought a backpack. Like he walks into the Airbnb with like his backpack and his kids' gear, and then we show up and my husband is pulling all of these suitcases out of the car, and he's like,
What is going
I
on?
was like, I needed rain boots and like Crocs and like
All the
tennis
things.
shoes. And
Yep.
I'm like, there's just, I don't know what the weather's going to be.
You don't know.
We were layered
Yep.
because it was cold and then it was hot.
Yeah, yeah.
I always
Yeah.
pack rain boots when we any paintball tournament.
I think that's
have
just smart.
rain boots
Yes.
with me because
Yeah.
it always
just
just
don't know.
seems to rain, and it's not like they just stop it
Yeah,
Yeah,
to not like as long as
I was
it's
glad I
not
had them.
yeah,
thunder or lightning.
Lightning.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not going to stop it.
yeah. Well, we want to wrap things up here, and to all those moms and parents out there getting ready for USXBL and starting to plan for Cincinnati, good luck. And yeah, we just want to, as usual, thank all of our supporters, Zero Media, Paintball FIT, Hydra, Robert Jordan. Who am I missing? I always miss. I always
that's
forget
it.
people. Yeah, just all the families and parents, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.